kindness seed. In the city of Oakhaven, the sky was always the color of a wet sidewalk, and the people moved with their heads down, counting their own footsteps. In a dusty corner of the cobblestone market, a young girl named Blythe spotted something the sun had forgotten. It was a seed, no bigger than a pearl, but it hummed with a soft, pulsing indigo light that made her fingertips tingle. Blythe tucked the seed into her pocket and ran to the edge of town, where an old man named Elias lived. Elias was the town's only gardener, though his pots held nothing but dry, cracked earth and memories of green things. He squinted through his magnifying glass as Blythe held the glowing prize in her palm. "This is a heart sprout seed, Blythe," Elias whispered, his voice like the rustle of dry leaves. "It doesn't drink water, and it doesn't eat sunlight. It feeds on the things we give away when we think no one is looking. It grows on the warmth of a hand held out in the dark." Blythe took the seed to the center of the town square, where the fountain had long since run dry. She dug a small hole in the hard, packed dirt and tucked the seed inside. She waited all afternoon, but the ground remained as still and gray as a tombstone. Just then, a man named Slate stomped past. Slate was the town's cobbler, and his face was set in a permanent scowl. As he hurried by, he tripped over a loose stone, and his heavy spectacles flew from his face, skidding across the pavement. He began to grope blindly in the dirt, muttering under his breath. Blythe didn't hesitate. She hopped up, retrieved the glasses, and carefully wiped the dust from the lenses with her sleeve. She knelt beside Slate and placed them gently into his hand. For a moment, Slate froze. He looked at the glasses, then at Blythe, and his scowl softened into a look of quiet surprise. As Slate walked away with a small, shy nod, a tiny clink echoed in the quiet square. Blythe turned to the patch of dirt. A silver shoot, thin as a needle, had poked through the surface. It didn't look like a plant. It looked like a thread of frozen moonlight. Word began to spread, though only in whispers. A young baker named Jude arrived at the square, carrying a heavy crate of flour. He looked tired, and his shoulders were slumped. Blythe saw him struggling and ran to take one side of the heavy box. Together, they carried it across the square to his shop. Inspired by the girl's help, Jude didn't go back inside. He saw a woman named Clara trying to fix a broken slat on her garden fence nearby. Usually, Jude would have ignored her, but today he walked over and offered his hammer and his time. As they worked, the silver sprout in the square began to grow taller, thickening into a sapling. By the end of the week, the tree was as tall as Blythe. It had branches that curved like elegant fingers, but it remained silver and bare. Elias came to stand beside Blythe, leaning on his cane. "It is beautiful," he said, "but it is waiting. A tree of kindness needs a storm to prove its strength." That night, a fierce wind tore through Oakhaven, bringing a freezing rain that threatened to snap the delicate silver branches. Slate and Jude met in the square, carrying old blankets and wooden planks. They worked through the night, shielding the tree from the wind and bracing its trunk against the gale. When the sun rose, the storm vanished. The silver tree hadn't just survived. It had exploded into bloom. Every branch was heavy with golden fruit that smelled of cinnamon and summer rain. Blythe reached up, plucked a fruit, and handed it to Slate. As he took a bite, the gray fog over Oakhaven finally lifted, revealing a sky of brilliant, endless blue.
Subscribe to the channel and like the bell icon. Thanks for watching LevelUp Talks production. See you soon again.